Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got one of my favourite cars in, 140 S-Class. As you can see by the condition of it, it's been stood around quite a long time. It doesn't run. I've been told it's had a new battery, and now the car won't start. There's a couple of jobs to do. Mirrors held together with duct tape. The passenger mirrors just flopping around, doing absolutely nothing. And once we get it running, we need to do a service and MOT. But we're a long way off that. Current situation is, key goes in, ignition comes on, absolutely nothing. But what a car. Look at the quality of this interior. It's just so nice. I've not had one of these in, a nice one, for a long while. So it's nice to get these in still. But I mean, look at that. You get carpet on your door cards. Look at that. I reckon this was the best S-Class they ever made, in my opinion. Double glazed windows. All the celebrities had these back in the day. 50 Cent had one of these.
Like cars?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have one of these today, and I would drive that today. What a car. Oh, it's got a rear blind. It's got electric rear blind. So, key in, ignition on, no power. So, I've been told it's had a new battery fitted, so I'm gonna go straight to that. Right, well there's the battery. Got to test the voltage at the battery, start afresh. I'm actually going to loosen that terminal off and bang it on a bit more because I'm not happy how that's holding on for dear life. Though. That's showing absolutely nothing. The list says, had new battery fitted, since then won't start. That's showing 0 volts. So we got told this is a brand new battery, which it looks new, but we've measured it on the multimeter. We've got 1.5 volts, so we can confirm that battery is just completely ruined. Let's put the boost pack on it and see if it starts. Well, we've got dash lights now. I think we'll just go for it, I think. So we're running a little bit, very uneven. I have a feeling I'm not getting told the whole story with this car already.
You can't handle the truth!
So obviously we've got a running issue as well. I was just getting out of the car and explained it's got double glazed windows. And Nathan was amazed at how thick they are. But this is when Benz was quality. It's nice to see the young lads enthusiastic about these older ones. So this isn't an old car to me, it's weird, whereas this is probably like the Titanic to you. 320. Right, I think I'm just going to do some basics. Take the cover off, let's have a look at some spark plugs, I think. So just before I was going to take it apart, I thought I'd just unplug the air mass sensor, because the symptoms it's giving me is misfires, popping and farting, no throttle response. It does point towards an air mass meter, so I've just unplugged it, which isn't fixing the problem, but it's just kind of, if that's completely failed, we're just ruling that out. We missed the start up on camera, but I'm running absolutely spot on. And I did smile when it started. That door handle's sticking out, isn't it? So if I shut that now, it will cut out because the air mass sensor's not plugged in. But for a starting point, we definitely need a battery, and we're looking like we need an air mass sensor just to get the car idling. You know, we've got mirror issues. That's the problem with this mirror. But I can tell you now, that is glue, like a no nails type thing. That's been glued open before, so that's, to fix that properly, you're gonna need a full mirror frame. I would have thought. I'd have to see, can you buy individual pieces or not? I'm not sure, can't remember. No power from the battery. That's not going to help any of our electrical issues. Unplug the air mass sensor. The car's now idling for a small amount of time. It needs a service, it needs an MOT. So we're going to have to invest money into the car just to get it to the MOT centre, and then should it fail, you'll get another list of work to do, and then you'd have to do that and then the service. So sometimes you get in this situation with the cars that have been off the road, they don't run and they need MOTs. It's hard to quote because there's a bare minimum I need to do to get this running, to get it for an MOT, and then what goes on at the MOT station is another story. Potential fail work, service, what do we find on service, additional service work. So it can be quite difficult, this. So we've took the air mass sensor off. Obviously it's got a Mercedes part number, so it's probably the original one. We're going to have to make contact with the customer pretty much straight away in this instance to explain our situation, that we're going to have to get you to commit to X amount to the car just to get it to the MOT station. So I've just took the duct tape off the mirror to have an inspection in the mirror. We need functioning mirrors to attempt an MOT. All the wiring is all rotten. This part here is supposed to be attached to the adjustable motor. The glass is supposed to be clipped to that. That is supposed to be clipped to that. A little inspection, I can see the glass has been glued to it with some double-sided tape. That's obviously been like that for a long time, and I'm just receiving the headache. We're not going to get anywhere near a pass with 2 broken mirrors, let alone we have no idea the condition of the car underneath. I did used to look after this car quite a few years ago, but I've not seen it for 3 or 4 years, I don't think. They've eventually come back here, but why have they come back here? Right, I've got a new battery, proper Mercedes battery. We are going to fit this, and then I'm going to put my multimeter, set my multimeter up on an amp draw test, just to make sure this hasn't got a battery drain, because I've spoke to the customer, apparently the battery we've just took off is a month old. I'm not sure what's going on there, but it's got 1 volt in it, so it won't recharge. We're going to have to fit a new one, but I don't want to kill a new one, so we'll check for any amp drain. At the moment we've got a 4 amp drain, which we've literally just connected. So whilst we're letting that settle down, we will fit the air mass sensor. I have got a Febby air mass meter. Mercedes one was £400 plus VAT. We've got a Febby one which is £150 plus VAT, so nice bit of a saving there. Nice and simple part to swap out. However, once it's fitted, you do need to relearn the adaptations on the diagnostics. One out. That's that done. Check our battery drain again, see if she runs this time, see if we can get her to move. We've not actually got her to move yet. Still at 3.5 amps. It should be a lot lower than that. If that doesn't start dropping, we've actually got a battery drain issue, and that will explain why the new battery's completely flat. Right, I've left the battery drain on for 15 minutes. We're still at 3.5 amps. I'm going to come to the conclusion that this has got a battery drain, hence why this battery that's a month old has died. Basically, it's just sucked the life out of it. Hopefully we'll have got the car running, but we now have to speak to the customer again and explain that's why that battery's died, which is now going to incur more cost. Battery drains are not easy to find. Another problem. Keys. Alright, let's see if it will idle without programming the new air massing for now. That started up a lot better, hasn't it? Right, I've left it idling for a couple of minutes, and we've got a throttle response, so had some good news, some bad news. We've got it running and idling, it's starting, but we need to see what's going on with this battery drain. Right, we're just gonna go on a quick road test. Got the trade plates in. Brought Nathan along for the ride with me. He's never been in one of these before, so what do you think?
It's mint, isn't it? Proper car.
This is when S-Classes were built properly. Oh, we've got an indicator bulb out. We'll get that addressed before we go to the MOT station. This is definitely my favourite S-Class. New is not always better. Could cruise around in one of these all day long. We've had to do some temporary repairs to the mirrors. It does need 2 new mirrors, the complete things on both sides. Obviously one of them was flopping around. The other one they're just a mess. We need 2 mirrors. We've glued everything back together, so we've got mirrors, but if you want them working, as in folding, heated and electric adjustment, they need throwing in the bin and replacing. So that's literally a quick trip around the block. We've discovered we've got a couple of bulbs out, so we'll replace them before it goes for its MOT. Now we shall catch up with you after the MOT.
A few moments later.
Right, so we've run into a bit of a problem with this S-Class. You probably won't believe this, but after me and Nathan finished the road test, we started locking up for dinner, and John came back from a road test and saw there was a load of smoke coming from underneath the bonnet, and the alternator had literally set on fire. Bit of panic stations, fire extinguisher, put it out, obviously disconnect the battery. I think that's obviously what our battery drain probably is. The alternator was just shorted out and was just smoking like mad. But yeah, you can't predict these kind of things on these older cars, so now we need an alternator. That will probably explain what killed his old battery. But I mean, I had a battery drain, I had a 3 amp drain, which is quite high, but wow, I didn't expect that to happen. So now we've got an alternator, so we're going to fit a new alternator, check the battery drain again, make sure that that was what's causing it, because if not, we've still got another issue. And then finally, we might be able to get it to the MOT station. That is the alternator. You'll see better when we get it out, but you can see where all the coils have melted inside. Not ideal. The Mercedes alternator is Bosch alternator, so we've ordered one directly from Bosch. I've only ever seen that once before. That's the second time I've ever seen that. Maybe somebody watching has seen it before. Maybe you could let us know in the comments. It's a bit scary, that, to be honest. If we wouldn't have caught it at the right time, we could have lost the car. John's got the alternator off and it has melted that badly I can't even turn it. New alternator, Bosch replacement, pretty much identical. We've also got a new belt. It's warmed the belt up that much that it's kept its shape. We'll get that fitted. It's quite a straightforward fitment on these. I wish things were that easy in the modern car. And then we're back to square one of having a running car, and then we'll go again, try and get it in for an MOT and see what happens there. We've got the car back from MOT. It has failed, nothing too drastic. The main one is can't get in the passenger door from the outside. You can open it from the inside. So it opens on the inside, but not the outside. That is the main problem. The couple of little things it's failed on, I'm not too concerned about. One being the driver's mirror glass is wobbling around. I think we've already explained that. It needs 2 mirrors, but we're going to try and salvage some parts. Wiper blades. Wiper blades are not clearing the windscreen. Again, a minor issue. Or is it a minor issue? Because the wiper blades on this model 140 S-Class are specific for this model and this model only. Back in the day, I think they used to be about 150 quid, and that is, 20, 30 years ago. No longer available from Mercedes. You cannot buy a set of wipers for a 140 S-Class from Mercedes anymore. So we're looking at alternatives. We need wiper blades. If it rains, you need wiper blades. So we'll have a look into that. Main problem is getting in and out of this door, trying to secure the driver's mirror glass best we can. Again, parts are no longer available. See what we can do there. We've got it secure, as in it's not wobbling around, but we need to get the mirror glass secure. The motor is damaged, so it's just flopping around. Let's get the passenger door leather card off, see what's going on there, and see if we can get that door in and out. Paula's in reception, researching what can't we do about these blades. Once this car's finished, if it had a full valet and paint correction, it would actually look mega, wouldn't it? So we fixed the door. All the lock mechanism was just really seized. So we've just took the door panel off, lubricated everything up, worked everything, kept working it, and it's come free. The handle's no longer sticking out. The driver's side, even though we could get in, the handle was sticking out. So when we shut the door, it was bouncing back open. Just a case now of putting the door cards back on, getting the service done. Soft close is now working as well, even though I didn't use it that time. Relatively cheap fix, no parts required, just labour. Right, we have a solution for the wiper blades. A truck wiper blade that fits, which is a Bosch Aero Twin AR65N. These do fit the 140 S-Class. A lot of websites sell them for the S-Class. That's a wiper blade solution done. I'm going to clean the windscreen though, because it's absolutely filthy. I don't want to fit new blades to a manky screen. Gave you some bad information actually. There's two different part numbers, an AR65N and an AR26U. The difference is in the N and the U is the width of the wiper arm. So that is the truck blade, which has a thicker, wider arm, and that is kind of a standard fit. So that is how you get S-Class wiper blades. So we'll see what they're actually for. Mercedes Artigo, a MAN bus, Ford Transit.
Nice.
That is not for a Mercedes at all. However, somebody's figured that out at some point. Good on you. Right, John, give them a squirt, mate. Right, we finally got an MOT on the car. We've actually done the service off camera, nothing too interesting going on there. Oil filter, air filter, cabin filter, and we'll show you what we found on service. We've got no record of power steering filter to be changed, so we've extracted the fluid out of the reservoir, put a new filter in, that's that done, nice and simple. We've also took a sample of brake fluid, failed a brake fluid test, so we're going to get all the old fluid flushed out. We've got to bear in mind this car's been stood around a while. We're going to change the rear brake hoses as well, as always they are starting to crack. So rear hoses, brake fluid change. We'll get Paula on camera one day. Underneath the car, obviously me and Nathan took it on a road test. We could hear a bit of a rattling noise when we were driving. This exhaust bracket is broken, so when the car's just stationary on idle, just getting a bit of a noise. The gear linkage was quite floppy. The bush has disappeared. It's probably just deteriorated over the years and fell out. Put a new bush in there. It's about, I think it's £2. That's going to give us a nice firm engagement of gears. And the gearbox mount, it's dropped. It's pretty much sat on the bottom of itself. As you can see, the new one, there's just no gap in there at all. We'll show you a comparison when we get that out. So a little bit of welding to do. Gear selector linkage bush, engine mount, power steering, fluid and filter, rear hoses, brake fluid, and then I think this car's good to go back on the road. We have advised other things like spark plugs, gearbox servicing and stuff like that. We need to study the service history to see when it was last done, as we don't want to do stuff prematurely. Overall, we're actually really happy with the condition of this car. There's nothing underneath that I wouldn't expect. That's it really.
Yeah.
Welded the bracket back on. Obviously I'm not a professional welder, but I can happily say that's not going anywhere, as they say. Not going anywhere, that. It's on, it's welded. We will put a bit of high temperature paint over that just to protect it a little bit. It's better than nothing. Next up, gear selector bush. You hate doing these, don't you?
No, I don't want to do this.
Nathan doesn't like doing these, so looks like I'm doing it. So we put it in a cup of boiling water just to soften it up a bit because they're really hard. So that's the new bush in. Get the clip back on. That's it, done. Nice and solid. That's just going to transform the gear selector from being all floppy to stiff. Right, gearbox mount. Battery's flat. Extension and ratchetto. Yeah, that's gonna snap. Or can I save it? Ah, yeah. Nice. Sorted. Right, so we've got the gearbox propped up. Again, pretty straightforward job. Can just lift that so it's not touching. I mean, there's obviously no weight on it now either, and you can see how much it's dropped by. So that's going to make a nice improvement inside the cabin. Engine mounts look all right, so we're happy to just change this simple gearbox mount. So those three little simple jobs are actually going to make a huge difference to this car. Mount's going to give us less vibration in the cabin. Bracket's going to stop the squeakiness on idle. Little 2-pound selector bush. It's just going to transform the gear selection. Brake fluid is obviously going to give us a better brake pedal. Nice simple stuff. So what's left to do?
Flexes and brake fluid.
Brake fluid and flexes. We've shown you that loads before, so we won't bore you with that. Get that old manky stuff flushed out. New hoses on. Done. Right. S-Class is finished. MOT'd. Got my heated seat on. Just closed my door with my soft closing door. Final road test. Well, as you've probably gathered by now, if you've made it this far in the video, it's been a bit of an adventure. So the car came in for recommissioning, I'll say. Booked in, been off the road a while. Can we get it back on the road? Doesn't run, wouldn't idle, wouldn't drive, certainly zero throttle response. And then we discovered the alternator was not only providing a battery drain, it had obviously shorted itself out and nearly set the car on fire. Thank goodness that happened to us whilst it was in our possession and we could keep an eye on it, because you know, if that was outside your house while you're at work, that could have been an absolute disaster. Luckily, it didn't cause any damage to the wiring whatsoever. Just the alternator was completely knackered. Went for an MOT, didn't fail too badly, a couple of bits and bobs. Brake fluid change. It's probably one of the most declined jobs, I'll say. Everyone declines brake fluid. Brake fluid, what would I want to do that for? I think they think it's a bit of a blag, like blinker fluid. You need some new blinker fluid. Obviously this car does actually need 2 complete mirrors. They are functioning mirrors, as in I can now see behind me on both sides and they're not flopping around anymore. But should you want all the functions electrically working, we need 2 mirrors. As we showed you, the wiring wasn't great. One of the motors is broken. The frame on the other side is broken. So we've done a couple of repairs just to get them in a fixed position where we can see what's going on. So the B service carried out, fresh oil, fresh filter, air filter and cabin filters. Oh, we also changed the power steering filter. I won't say that's something not many people do. I think that's something not many people know they can do. So that's a good one if you've got an older Merc. I daren't say power steering fluid change because you're not actually flushing out the full system. You're just changing what's in the reservoir to make it easier to change the filter. So if I said that, everyone would go mad in the comments. You've not changed that fluid. So I'll say a partial fluid change. Passenger door, we can now open from the outside of the car. It's always a bonus when you don't need parts and you can fix something. This car is so smooth. This is definitely, in my opinion, the best S-Class they made. This is the king of the S-Classes. I'd actually happily own and drive one of these. We don't get too many of these in anymore because there's not that many around. So good cleaning and polish and this car would look really good. That's the best I can come up with, really good. What I want to say is probably not appropriate for YouTube. Well, it isn't appropriate for YouTube. Yeah, that gear change is so much better. Well, gear selection. Not gear change, gear selection. I suppose you could argue it's a gear change going from reverse to drive. So I bet you're wondering how much it's cost to get this car back on the road. Obviously there's been a few curveballs thrown in. So yeah, a few extras that we probably weren't expecting. Total bill for this one is £2,000. Another one saved really. This can go back to the customer, get a nice good valet done, and he can enjoy it. So I think that concludes this video. Make sure you like and subscribe. Also, hopefully by the time this video goes out, the hoodies, the work hoodies are back in stock. We've also added t-shirts to the merchandise as an alternative. Christmas is coming, so I'll leave the link below to the website where you can buy hoodies and t-shirts. Hopefully they're in stock because we sold out really fast. We've had another batch since and hopefully they're not sold out, so when this video goes out there's some left for you. And we will see you on the next one.